Did I ever, make it big in the movie business? Absolutely not. Did I ever make it big in the music business? Absolutely not. Am I happy that I have those backstories and I still do music and act? Yeah, but this is like right now, today, like just being here with you, this is the best time I've ever had in my life. It's awesome.
Welcome to the Take 148 podcast, produced by 148 Films. Join us as we explore video production, creative storytelling, and the real stories behind the lens.
About to get real good.
Phil Hyland, welcome to 148 Studios, man. It's so good to have you back.
I'm so happy to be here.
It is. So for the viewer, the listener, our story goes way back. I believe it was December of 24.
Okay.
I think it was December 24 because you were here for a podcast open house, a panel discussion.
That's right.
And that's where you won the drawing.
I did.
For a free hour of recording.
Dude, I love winning a raffle.
In the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where we first met.
Yeah.
And wildly enough, you are the co-host of Judged by the Cover with Josh Wilhelm.
That's right.
And so Josh has actually been on our podcast.
Yes.
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
So, so we thought it just fair that, since we've got a story with Phil, he's on the Josh podcast, the Judged by the Cover podcast. We bring in Phil Hyland.
Okay.
Too. So
that's what got me. And thank you, Josh.
And we'll get
on his coattails.
That's right.
That's
and
cool.
The fact that we finally got to work together on a project, just a month ago, 6 weeks ago, time flies.
It's so funny. Y'all came on my radar when did you guys open up officially here?
It would have been July of 24.
Yeah. I started seeing it on, I guess it was like LinkedIn or social media. And there's another gentleman that left LA like I did. I think there's a guy, Leah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was promoting you guys too. I'm like, okay, 148, like a new production house in Chattanooga. Very curious. So how cool is it that I got to do a job with you guys?
Absolutely.
And I got to win that podcast raffle.
Right.
For free studio time, which is crucial, I will say.
For sure.
It makes us look really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, before we get too far into this conversation, you know the drill because you're in the industry, but we're going to do a little pre-production research on you.
Oh, Lord.
So a couple rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Here we go. Maybe the easiest questions we ask and answer all day. Last full book you read?
A Bruce Willis biography.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been trying to read more lately.
Same.
Keep the brain going a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I just am fascinated with Bruce Willis. I mean, what an incredible story. And I just finished that one. And now I'm on to I'm reading Mark Twain's Life on the Mississippi right now.
Okay.
And I usually bring that book. I bring a book on set. Like if I'm gonna have some downtime, I usually have a book. It's a good actor, pack. Have that in your kit.
Sure.
Along with your makeup,
Little better than doom scrolling, huh?
Yeah, the doom scrolling thing, and I love social media, but Bruce Willis, it's so good. It's such a great read. Anything on him that you see out there, I just got it on Amazon Books, and man, I'm inspired by what he's done. And he's not well. I don't think we're gonna have him much longer. But I started binge watching Moonlighting on Amazon Prime. That was before I moved to LA. In the 80s, late 80s, I moved out there. Bruce was doing Moonlighting with Sybil Shepherd. It was a huge hit. It broke him, that show. So if you ever go back to Amazon Prime and watch Moonlighting, it's really great. It's a detective agency show. But it's cool, man. Anyway.
I've got some homework to do.
Yeah, but Bruce Willis, man, I'm a fan. Like, he's done so many cool movies.
Okay. All right. Favorite road trip gas station snack?
Gummy bears.
Gummy bears.
I'm not driving 1 mile without gummy bears. I'll tell you, dude, I just did a round trip drive with my wife and my dog to New York City. And guess what she packed? Two big bags of gummy bears.
There you go.
She knows. I ain't going nowhere without it.
So are you one of those gummy bear consumers that's very specific about the brand? I know there's just a few out there, right? I mean,
it's called like Alfie or some other brand. It's at Aldi. What's it called? Like it's made in Turkey. I can't do them. They're in a pinch. Like if those were the last gummy bears around, I'd go to Aldi and buy that brand. But it's got to be, what is it, Haribo?
There you go. That's the
Haribo.
name. That's the name I'm thinking of.
Haribo might be made in Turkey too. They're probably made in the same plant.
Probably.
Let's just be honest.
There you go.
Okay.
It's all packaging.
Yeah.
All right. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Okay.
I'm a sun dog. I'm still a Cali boy at heart, man. I need the rays.
There you go. But now California has the distinction of being one of those states with both beaches and mountains, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so, but if you had your choice,
Beach.
you're on the beach.
I'm at the beach.
Okay. So if you have your choice of beach in the U.S., are you going back to the West Coast? Where are you going?
No, I'm going to go to Fire Island. Fire Island is in Long Island, New York, and it's amazing. There's no cars. They don't allow cars. And my mother-in-law is a playwright. Her name is Gretchen Cryer. She had a hit called I'm Getting My Act Together and Taking It on the Road. And that hit show, it was a play, it was a musical actually, that hit enabled her to buy a beach house. So I had the good luck to go out there and spend family time out there. And I fell in love with Fire Island, man. It's
Okay.
beautiful.
So a little gummy bear road trip to Fire Island.
Fire Island. That'd be sweet.
With maybe an audiobook since you can't read while you're driving.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Fire Island. I've got some more homework
Check
to
it
do.
out. Check it out.
For sure. No cars sounds really enticing.
Yeah.
Because you can't get away from vehicles
It's
these
cool.
days.
There are deer out there. You know, in Virginia, there's Chincoteague, which has the wild horses, right? So
Okay.
Chincoteague, I'm from Virginia. They've got the beautiful sandy beaches with wild horses that live out there. Fire Island has these little deer populations and no cars. So it's really it's special. It's a special place.
All right. Movie you could rewatch over and over and it never gets old.
Oh, gosh. The Birdcage, starring Robin Williams and,
Okay.
and Nathan Lane. It's so good. It's a remake of Le Cage aux Folles, the French film. And it's a little
Phil,
bit...
I'm learning a lot today.
Are you
I'm
learning
taking
a lot?
notes already.
Yeah, okay. Well, The Birdcage, and you have to check it out. It's Mike Nichols. Mike Nichols, famous director, but Nathan Lane and Robin Williams absolutely are a comedy duo. They're amazing together. So check it out. Yeah, that's my favorite movie. It's so good. If you love comedy, like that kind of comedy, it's a little, maybe pre-screen it. Don't let the young ones watch
No.
it. But yeah.
What was that shot in the 90s? 80s? 90s?
Yeah, 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, in the 90s.
All right.
Early 90s, I think. Mid-90s.
All right. So a common thread with the Take 148 podcast is we end up sitting across the table from a lot of creative people, various different crafts and experiences. But I always love to kind of go deep on, where you feel like your creative journey began. What was your kind of earliest memory as a kid being creative?
Well, I always loved to draw, but I think something hit. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and in my neighborhood, we would put on a art fair, arts and craft fair every spring. It's called Arts in the Park. And I was, would go up there all the time. My mom was really involved and setting up the little booths. It was an outdoor open air thing. And there was a guy playing a dulcimer early on, and I was like, ooh, I want to do that. He was hitting this stringed instrument. It was like playing the drums, but playing the guitar at the same time. So I remember that. I'll never forget it. That stuck. I probably watched that guy for an hour. I was just like a little kid. I was a little boy, and but I was like, ooh, I want to do something like that.
What a vivid memory.
Yeah, it was cool. It's never left me. I love dulcimer. It's crazy. I wish I could play it.
I was going to say, so was there ever an opportunity to sit down in front of a dulcimer?
There
Technically,
was,
to stand
yeah.
up in front of a dulcimer?
Yeah. There was. I didn't play it, but I wrote a song called Tennessee River Song when I first moved here. I was just inspired. I'd never known about Chattanooga. I never thought about moving to Tennessee. I didn't even come here my wife came here and found a place to live, and we were leaving during COVID. We were leaving California after 21 years, and she and my daughter picked out a house. I was like, okay, that's fine. Let's go to Chattanooga. No clue what goes on there. I thought it was like this really small, like, it was going to be like Beverly Hillbillies, but in reverse. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, this will be cool. I'll just be living in the country doing God knows what. But here we are, man. So I don't know. What was the question?
Earliest creative memories. Did you ever get to play a hammered dulcimer?
Oh, yeah. So I wrote this song, Tennessee River song, and I'm like, I got to have dulcimer on it. So my producer played the dulcimer.
Okay.
Yeah. I might record it again because I think, do you know a dulcimer player?
I actually do.
I know. I saw that on your
Yes.
Instagram, and I think I want to re-record this song with that guy. Not that my producer did a bad job, but I saw your guy play. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the guy.
Yes. Stephen Humphreys. A little shout out to Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen
is a
Humphreys.
internationally acclaimed hammered dulcimer player right here
Probably
in
can't
Chattanooga.
afford him then. But if you know him, maybe there's a family discount.
There we go. I'll see what I can do.
All right, see what you can do.
Stephen, if you're listening, Phil, Stephen, Phil, we'll get you connected.
Nice to meet you. Let him butter you up a little bit.
That's right.
But yeah, I was like, I've got to have dulcimer in that song, and I think it made it. I mean, it's yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking about that song the other day. It's like I kind of want to re-record it. I think there was a worship recording artist. Was it Rich Mullins? Back in the day, I think it was the 80s, and my pastor out in L.A. loved him. And I played one of his songs in the worship band I was in at my church in California. And I think he was one of the last like guys that really popularized the dulcimer. But yeah, it's kind of like I just am in love with that instrument and kind of, keep it alive, right? Mm-hmm. Like it should be known. That instrument should be known.
Absolutely.
So I might do it. I actually might re-record that song.
Okay.
And get your buddy.
There you go. So I know you as an actor.
Yeah.
As a musician. I know your website. Your website has a bunch of other accolades: singer, songwriter, production extraordinaire. So I know you've got a wealth of experience in the industry. So I'd love to know, like, let's start with music. So was music your first love with the hammer dulcimer experience? And then so, where have things started with music, and then how did you get into the acting?
The acting thing. Yeah. The music. So as a kid in Virginia, dulcimer, fell in love. And then I started to get it. My mom played a lot of classical music at the house. So I love classical music. I still do. And then I was cutting grass as a teenager, probably like 14 or 15. And I'm like, I want a guitar. My parents are like, that's great. How are you going to get one? So I cut a lot of lawns, and I bought a guitar, and was absolutely terrible. But yeah, I just started playing guitar. I loved it. And I'm sure I did it for all the social reasons too. I wanted
for sure.
people to think I was cool. I wanted the girls to like me. It worked. I mean, I just
mission accomplished.
Yeah, it worked. It was great. But musically, just playing with friends in my hometown was awesome. And it was like when new wave was breaking, so I was big into like British Invasion, new wave music. And then a neighbor. This is how I got into acting. I was just being a normal kid banging on the guitar. I had like a little punk band with a couple of guys from my Catholic school. And this neighbor, I was probably like 15, maybe 16. He's like, hey, he asked my mom, there's a play called Brighton Beach Memoirs. They're going to do it regionally at the local playhouse. Would your son want to audition? Of course, my mom's like, you're going to audition for this play? I'm like, I don't even know what, I was like, okay. And the reason why my mom was in that arena was she was a theater critic for an AM radio station called WRVA in Richmond, Virginia. And so she was a theater critic. So I went to a lot of plays as a kid. I went to every play as a kid that toured or was on the boards in Richmond. So anyway, I get the lead part in Brighton Beach Memoirs, which was written by Neil Simon. It was on Broadway at the time, a huge hit. It broke like Matthew Broderick and Jonathan Silverman. My brother-in-law, John Cryer, was in it. I mean, it broke some big-time actors. And so I did it regionally, and it ran for a long time. Like, it was a hit locally. So that's how I got into acting, and that's really where I learned how to act. The directors were they were from New York City. It was a theater group, and now it's called the Virginia Repertory Theater. But when it started, it was Barksdale Theater. So it was a bunch of New York actors came down to Virginia because New York priced them out in the 1950s, and I cut my teeth with them. They taught me everything I know. It was kind of cool. So I was trained by these New York City actors who came up in the 50s.
So it wasn't your mom that influenced your introduction to theater until someone suggested that you audition.
Yeah.
Even as a critic, she never, that you recall, she never kind of really pushed the idea of theater on you.
Not at all.
And I'm sure she was thrilled when you fell in love with it. I would imagine she loved that.
I was thinking about why do I love acting, and that play, it's a comedy. Just to hear people laugh, I think that was really what it was for me. It was just oh wow, every night, and we had tour buses of people coming in, all groups, tour groups and stuff would come see the show. It was a packed house every night. I was just man, I'm making people laugh. And I was that, and I had moments on stage too where I knew the part so well. To learn all that dialogue, to memorize all those lines. Once you're free of the script and you get to put the script down, then you're free to develop this character. And obviously you're developing within the guidelines of the writer's, guidelines, how he sees the character. But man, dude, I just fell in love with it. I was this is an incredible experience, and people were happy. Make people happy, and obviously, I love the accolades. I mean, we can talk more about that stuff too, the other aspect of it. But yeah, I fell in love with it, and then I did another play for that same theater group, and then people would see me, and then I started to get hired as a child actor. Right, I'm barely 16. I started to do local commercials. And I started working with a local production house like you guys. It was called Mirage Productions. And I'm still in touch with one of the founders. And they hired me for a bunch of local commercials. And I was this is better than cutting grass.
You were able to buy that guitar.
I bought that guitar,
right?
Yeah. I was wow, I can do a commercial and you're going to pay me this? I was this is great. Yeah.
All right, so somewhere in there, you find your way to LA.
Oh, yeah.
So
God. I really wanted to be in movies. 1977, Star Wars came out. And I saw that movie. I'm obviously I hadn't even acted or anything, but that blew me away. Just the whole story, the first one, A New Hope, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill. And I was man, I fell in love with Hollywood with that movie. And then as I got older, I got into all the big hits like The Mission with Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons. Chariots of Fire was a huge movie for me. And it's funny, I was such a nerd with the music too. I would always buy the vinyl of the soundtrack. So I watched The Mission with Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons. Amazing movie about the priest from Spain coming over to the Amazon and trying to convert the natives. Wild. Bought that soundtrack with Ennio Morricone did that one. And then Vangelis did Chariots of Fire. Chariots of Fire is another huge movie for me. So that and Star Wars, I was I'm moving to Hollywood. And so I moved to Hollywood when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
That is insane when I think about it. I was petrified. But it was also a time when Michael J. Fox was big, and people were saying, "Oh, you could be like Michael J. Fox," and basically people blowing a lot of smoke somewhere, But I moved to Hollywood when I was 19 years old in 1988 by myself. I knew one actor. I'd gotten in the Screen Actors Guild by this thing called Taft-Hartley. I'd shot one scene with Sam Waterston in a Civil War picture called Gore Vidal's Lincoln. Gore Vidal's a novelist. And they wanted to hire a local, but they wanted me to speak one line. So that little bit of clause got me eligible for Screen Actors Guild. And that was a big deal then. I mean, now it's like we can talk more about all that stuff in another episode, maybe. That was enough to like, okay, I'm eligible, so I moved to Hollywood. But when I moved to Hollywood in 1988, what happened in LA in 1988? The Writers Guild of America went on strike. It was almost, I think it was the longest strike. SAG just had a big strike, terrible strike. It lasted way too long and ruined the business. But this was the longest writer's strike, so no one was writing. You couldn't work. So I wound up working as a stage manager on a play with some Hollywood writers and producers, and that was my introduction into Hollywood. And I've got crazy stories too. Like one of the leads in that play invited me to a cookout. The cookout was at Penny Marshall's sister's house. Penny Marshall is Laverne from Laverne and Shirley, right? Long story short, the Marshalls and the Hylands, her sister is Ronnie Hyland, who produced Happy Days, took me under their wing because they saw this 19-year-old kid. They're like, oh, Lord, no. They know what was going to happen out there. So I got like adopted by the Marshalls and the Hyland family. And so my first Thanksgiving in Hollywood was with Penny Marshall at her house, Ronnie Hyland, her family. She had kids my age too, so we kind of befriended each other. More details to that story. But my first Christmas in Hollywood was with Carrie Fisher, Penny Marshall, Ronnie Hyland, Gary Marshall. I mean, Carol Kane, the actress, all these, Sidney Pollack, the famous producer, director. And I'm like, I guess this is just normal. You move to Hollywood and you have Thanksgiving dinner, because I wasn't going home to Richmond. I'd just gotten out there. Anyway, that was my intro to Hollywood, and it's just been an interesting ride.
That's wild.
It's wild, man. And I really feel like I experienced kind of like the final curtain on the golden era of Hollywood, because it's so different now. The business is so different.
So did you find yourself at a party like that, a Thanksgiving like that, being introduced or having opportunities to engage with all of these people around the table? I
was, I had an agent. I was auditioning for stuff, and I was booking I've done a lot of B work. There's A pictures, and that's a classic term, like your A-lister or your B-lister. It's an A movie or it's a B movie. Like Casablanca is an A movie for Humphrey Bogart. But Humphrey Bogart was a contract actor for Warner Brothers, and he did a lot of B movies, which meant low budget, cheap. You're just going to play a cop. That's it. We don't care who's in the picture. So I was doing like a lot of B-level work, a lot of TV shows, like Family Medical Center. This is before reality TV, but I was just working like whatever I could do. And I'd gotten a bit part on this show called China Beach, which was a huge hit. It was on ABC. And so, I would be at these Hollywood holiday dinners and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be at Warner Brothers next week shooting this day player part at China Beach, and the star of the show was there at one of these events, and I think she just kind of turned around and walked away from me. I don't even want to talk to you, man. You're such a low-level actor. And I was like, oh, that's harsh. You know who it was? It was Dana Delaney. And I was just like, man, Hollywood is rough, But yeah, because I'm trying to work. I was serious about being there. And I was very serious about being an actor. But I didn't, and it's funny, a lot of people ask, like, well, you knew all these famous people. Yeah, how come you couldn't get into, the movie Tom Hanks was doing big at the time? It doesn't work like that. Just because you know people, it's like, I think I just watched something recently about favors. Oh, Bill Murray said it about John Candy. There's a great John Candy documentary on Prime. You can tell where I spent a lot of my time. But he said that John Candy would start doing a lot of favors for people, and Bill Murray's like, it never works out. You do favors, and it kind of like, you have to make it on your own, I think, is the takeaway. Every once in a while, somebody might do a favor for me, or, they know I do music. I've had, my brother-in-law, use one of my songs in one of his movies. I mean, that's great because it worked. It worked for the picture, you know. Did it help? Yeah, sure. I felt honored to be part of that movie. But yeah, just because you're hanging out with Carrie Fisher and Penny Marshall, and they're both, can you believe they're both deceased? I mean, that's really why it's like the end of an era.
So you didn't get offered a role in the next Star Wars?
No, and I was so mad. I would have been perfect as like a Jawa.
Right. So is it safe to say that everybody has their, you know, bottom of the food chain, hard start Hollywood story, no matter who you are, who you become? Yeah. Like a Bruce Willis, for example. We were talking about Bruce. Like, I mean, everybody has that story where they came in to LA an unknown.
100%.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis was a bartender in Manhattan, but he was evidently a very good bartender. I mean, look at the personality of Bruce Willis. I mean, he went to Hollywood. He left New York City, went to Hollywood, and he quickly hit and he got moonlighting, but he was doing like beer commercials. I mean, we've all done, you know, back in the day, you would have a commercial agent and a theatrical agent. So I was doing like Pepsi commercials. And then the next day I was reading for, no lie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I didn't get it. And I was like, how come I didn't get it? I think it was to play like Donatello, you know, be dressed as a stupid turtle. But you're so desperate for work, you know? I mean, you're literally starving. So yeah, I started as an extra. I mean, I'm a stage actor. I love that I started at the Virginia Rep as a stage actor. And then I did some tours with another offshoot of their company called Theater 4, where I toured a musical around the state of Virginia. But yeah, you start at the bottom, man.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you were prepared well for the industry coming up through the ranks of theater, like live stage performance?
I think with the stage, what I had to learn is you got to tone it down. It's so emotion. It's emotion based and it's so visual. Film is such a different medium. Because what I learned in theater is like project so you can hear me. You know, my director told me talk to the bricks in the far back of the theater. Like talk to the far back wall. So it was broad, and you know a lot of the plays I was doing were big comedies like Brighton Beach Memoirs, very physical and loud, and everything was a little bit exaggerated. It's still natural, but film, it's like, don't move, you know, like just look to the right of the camera. That's your eye line, and that's going to be your co-star. And the mechanics are so different. So I don't know. I had to relearn a lot of stuff. It was cool that I was a stage actor, but no, I was terrible. I looked at some stuff early stuff, and it's on my website, like some jobs I did. I'm like, I did a pretty good job for this like little TV show. And then I look at some stuff I did, like the Sam Waterston scene. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so bad. But I didn't know any better. That was the Sam Waterston Lincoln thing was the first time I'd ever been on. I think the first time I'd ever been on like TV, like a TV show. I didn't know one tells you like, this is how you should act. They're just like, here's your line, go. I mean, it was crazy. There were like bombs going off. It was a Civil War movie. They didn't tell me that either. Like we're rehearsing, right? I'm in a trench. It was Gettysburg, even though we shot in Virginia. We were at Gettysburg. I'm in a trench with a musket, and Lincoln like comes up to talk to me. And so we're rehearsing this thing. I'm like, oh, this is cool, man. It's chill, you know, it's quiet. They didn't tell me like the squibs there's gonna be explosions in front of me. So he says action, the director, and dude, I get a face full of dirt and debris, and then there's like a syringe that's pumping blood out of the side of my neck, and I like stab my thigh because I like fall into the front of the trench, and I get stabbed by something. And so it was just like I got destroyed on that first take. I look back, it was so stupid. It was so funny. Like, no one tells you that, man. You're going to get beat up as an actor. That's like, if anyone wants to be an actor, you're going to get roughed up. They might be kinder and gentler now, but back then they're like, hey, we're going to start blowing stuff up around here.
Sounds like the moral of the story is don't start out in like an action film or any historical war picture. Yeah. Be careful. Just be careful, man. That is wild.
Yeah.
So do you remember the first project you were a part of where you walked away afterwards and you're like, I'm built for this. This is the work I'm meant to do?
Oh, okay. Well, in what format, like film or stage? What would you?
Let's go film.
Look, for an actor to feel validated, you want to book like a network show or a feature film or a pilot. It's you know, you got to be careful, like wrapping up your identity and like, oh, I'm an actor, and don't I've done this, and I met this person, and but I booked a supporting role for a network show, CBS, a school break special, and so these shows are, they air after kids get home from school, and there's usually like. Our story was based on the Clarence Thomas Anita Hill case in the 90s because, I was young in the 90s. And I booked this job and I shot it. It was my first, like, where I actually was in multiple scenes, and so I was really proud of myself. I was like, man, okay. You know how hard it is to book a job? Like, I think this past weekend, I definitely did 5 auditions over the Easter break. We just finished Easter, so I did 5 auditions. I think before that, the Easter break, I did like another 5. I'll probably not book any of those. I mean, that's just those are the odds, really. So when I booked that, I felt like I had accomplished something. Like, I got in the union, did the little bits in, like China Beach, these little day player roles where you're just on set for a day. You have like a few under 5 lines. That's your tier. That's how you get paid. Your SAG scale is going to be an under 5 day player rate, which is good. But yeah, I spent a week on this CBS show and did it. And I felt like, yeah, I accomplished, like mission accomplished, right? I'm a working actor. That's all you want. You want that stamp, like, I'm a working actor. It's crazy to live like that.
Well, and just like in our world where, we get asked to do work all the time as a production house.
Yeah.
And you submit proposals and inevitably, probably 80% of those proposals, go unworked.
Yeah.
They move on for a variety of reasons. I imagine if you're not auditioning, if you're not submitting audition tapes, then you're not going to get
nothing
gigs.
Happens if nothing happens.
No.
All right. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
No.
That's why I'll submit for stuff, even just a little bit out of my age range, like just a little, like we're just a little young. And, like I'm not afraid to like submit for stuff. And I'm careful, what I submit myself, what kind of jobs I submit for. But you kind of have to be bold too. I'm like, I could do that role. Mm-hmm. I could play that wacko in the woods, As a bomb builder, what's he up to, like. So and that's when you play the wild card a little. That's when you get some cool results. Like
For sure.
I wasn't gonna submit for the job I did with you guys because I'm like, I can't do that. I mean, I play improv piano, but I'm not like a trained piano player. So I almost didn't do it. And then my agent's like, do it, just submit.
That's why it's called acting, right?
Right, right. So I did it, and look what happened. We got to work together.
Yeah.
So you never know. Like, don't be afraid. Like, pull the trigger. What's the worst you could say to me? No, sorry, we passed.
Yep.
We hired somebody else. And I just saw an early cut that you guys did of it. I'm like so happy with that. Like, what a great 3 days we spent together working on that piece, man. I'm proud of that. Like, that's the best thing I've worked on to date. Let's just go fast forward. Like, forget all the old Hollywood stories. Like, this is the most fun I've had being an actor. And obviously, I have a day job, too. You know what I mean? Come on. Let's be real. Ain't nobody paying the bills being an actor. Maybe there is. Someone in Chattanooga is solely an actor. There might be. I bet you there is. I think I know one guy. I really wish I was him. But
well, I don't know if I told you this, but, your name had come up in conversation in pre-production as we were prepping for that project.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there was an email from you as we were, going through and trying to nail down talent. And so I was like, hey, guys, check it out. Phil's submitted. So it saved me a phone call.
Yeah.
So that was great because, like I said, your name had come up a couple times in conversations. When we get projects, obviously – we've got to find the right actor for the role.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just doesn't make sense. But the combination of a family man, a musician,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that we knew you were right here in Chattanooga and you were
Yeah.
both of those,
Yeah.
it was perfect. And so, yeah, yours was the first, checkbox that we made out of the three that we cast for that project.
What a blessing, man. And when you guys called me and said, "Yeah, let's work together." I mean, those are that's great. Like those are my best days. I really try to bottle up those days because the roughest time is between gigs. You know what I mean? Where you're like, it's crickets. I just put out like 20 self tapes. Phone's not ringing, no emails, nothing's happening. I'm never going to work again. And then before you know it, maybe you get something else. But the time between gigs is rough for an actor. But obviously, like I said, I work too. I work at a school, and I love being there. But I love flexing that creative muscle, though.
Sure.
The acting, that never goes away.
So obviously, you've got a lot of years in the industry. What's your workflow in and out of gigs? Like, how do you kind of keep the craft fresh, and how do you stay inspired, and like what are you doing to keep your name out there when you're not actively working on a project?
I do shorts. Like I have a very strong group of friends that are creatives. So a friend of mine up in New York is a great CGI artist. He was a drummer in my band. I was in a band in the 90s called Girlfriend, and he was my drummer, but he is like a professional photographer. Like he does like major campaigns. And he's like, "Hey, I wrote this crazy script about this wacky detective, and you and my other buddy Phil Costello." He's like, "I got Phil C on board. You want to come up and shoot this thing in a day?" I'm like, "Yes." So I do stuff like that, and that short that we shot in one day got into the New York Shorts International Film Festival. So I do stuff like that. I just say yes to like, as long as it's nothing too outside of my guardrails. I'm like, yeah, man, 100%. I say yes to a lot of stuff. I think that's it. In between, to keep my name out there, I'll do stuff like that. Like, hey, this guy wants to do like a proof of concept photo shoot. I say yes. Because I also like to model, and I'm not like a model, because when I started in the business in the late 80s and 90s, and I lived in New York City where that's like the mecca for modeling, I had friends that were pro models. I'm not a model. There ain't no six-pack abs happening here. I'm 5'7". I got kind of a weird face, and so I'm not a model. But now that the business has changed and there's this thing called lifestyle shoots or lifestyle modeling, I model. So somebody will say like, "Hey, I just did a campaign for Yamaha where I got to like ride on these side-by-sides." Dude, I didn't even know what a side-by-side was. I submitted for this job. It said something like, didn't even say the company name. It says side-by-side. And I think it said something like, "must be comfortable outdoors." Like, and that's it, right? And I submitted. We're going to blow up squibs, and you're going to be in a Civil War trench getting hammered all day. Dude, I did this job 6 days for these people. They were the best people to work with, and we just demoed their new line of side-by-sides are basically off-road vehicles. I didn't know that until I did this thing. But I spent 6 days on a mountain with a pro stunt driver driving these. I wasn't driving. I was a passenger.
And you've got one in your garage now, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. No. But, yeah, stuff like that. I just say yes. I mean, this is a great time to be in the business. Well, everyone knows, if you read the headlines, "Oh, the business is in turmoil." It's true. People are leaving Hollywood. I left Hollywood, and I'm a nobody. But big stars have left Hollywood. Big stars continue to leave Hollywood. Producers leave Hollywood. Full-on production companies leave Hollywood. It's an awesome time right now, especially for like Chattanooga. Like when you guys came on the scene, I was like totally intrigued. I'm like, wow, it's interesting. Like in Chattanooga, there's like really cool stuff happening. This is such a creative community. But then I want to put a button on the question, though, what you asked me. So my day job is I work with special needs students, and some of the students take theater class. So I get to take these young actors to theater class And I really do try to just fade in the background. If they need help or encouragement, I'm like, hey, man, get in that, do that scene. Teacher asks you to do this little part. And, sometimes that's all I do is I'm trying to encourage these students, like, go ahead, man, raise your hand. Say yes, right? Say yes.
Yeah.
Be the actor. Raise your hand.
bold.
Say yeah. Be bold. Raise your. And so that's what I do. But guess what? I'm going back to school. Like, I'm in the best acting class right now. There are 2 teachers at my school that are professional actors, and I get to sit in on their classes. So I feel like it's funny how God works in my life. He's like, you get to go back to school because I was a terrible student. There's more to my Hollywood story. Like why I really went to Hollywood is because my parents were going through a wicked divorce. My brother was off at a really nice college, and I heard an argument where they said, we can't even afford to keep sending my brother to school. And I was like, dude, I'm never going to college. So my only option, and it's so funny, I never really thought about this motivation. Like, why did I really move to Hollywood? I didn't have any other options. Like, my family life was falling apart. So I literally packed the car. I wanted to move when I was 18. My dad's like, no way. So, dude, thinking about that now, I'm an old man now, but to think about that kid, like that was my only option. And it's like, why am I in the game now today? You know why I'm in the game now today? I don't know what else to do.
Right.
I don't know
There
what
was no
else
plan B.
There's no plan B. So I'm like, I'm insane. The only bright light in my story really is my faith. My story, my relationship with Jesus that keeps me cool. Because, and we can talk about my behind the scenes work. I mean, I worked at Warner Brothers for 10 years. I worked at a company called Panavision for another 10 years. So I had a lot of time behind the camera. But I'm doing this now, and this is kind of a segue or not, but a friend of mine, his dad plays the grandfather in the Hangover movies.
Okay.
And you wouldn't even you're thinking, who is the grandfather in the Hangover movies? He's in all the wedding scenes. But my buddy's father, his last name is Soltis. So Mr. Soltis, my buddy's dad, made this actor life in his later golden years as an old actor. And he's he had such a great face. And in the movie, he wears these really dark rimmed glasses, almost like Colonel Sanders. You could see that. You get that image, right? He made a life after his professional career as an actor playing a grandfather. I'm like, that's my retirement plan. That's how insane I am. Because I don't have I'm not a business person. I am a business person because being an actor is like running a small business. But no one looks at it that way. Maybe they do. But that's why I'm back in the game now. That's why I was able to work with you guys, because I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do, because COVID killed the entertainment industry when I was, working at the studio. And I did a bunch of crazy odd jobs here in Chattanooga, and I still do.
You just say yes.
Yeah. I always admire people who open businesses like you guys, because it's such a legit studio here, and it's so tricked out with all the most awesome equipment. And, I was geeking out with your DP about your prime lens kit. And so I'm losing my train of thought, but opening a business, how do you open a business like this? Here's my business plan. I always picture a facility like this. You've got the psych that's painted white. It's beautiful. And I see myself there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to open a business. I'm going to have a place, and it's all going to be painted white. And I'm going to have a fax machine. Okay, I need a fax machine, and I need a coffee maker. I need an espresso machine. And that's as far as I ever get. I'm like,
You can do a lot with a fax machine and a coffee maker.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that happened to me in LA that probably damaged some of my business acumen, that I'm like, that's as far as I ever get. My wife's like, yeah, you still got that business plan where you're sitting in this like an art gallery with an espresso machine and a fax machine? I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I figured you didn't. Did you ever write that business plan down? They tell you to write a business plan. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take this to the bank. And I'm going to open an art gallery. I've got a fax machine and an espresso machine. I need $5 million.
Yeah.
If I'm going to compete with 148 Studios, I need $10 million, really. But
We'll just sign you on as a partner. Let's
that's
go.
why I'm an actor, and I think that's why actors have a bad rap. Like, we're stupid. Because we are. No.
No.
But, I think, it's a little bit school of hard knocks. And I studied acting, too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I definitely studied and continued. Like, the benefit of taking these students to theater class is huge. It's changed my life, man, for real. Like, I'm learning stuff, again, about improv. I took improv at Second City with Louis Arquette. Louis Arquette's a great actor. I'm relearning all this stuff. That's why we were talking about, like, what have you read lately? I'm trying to read more because I'm trying to, like, keep the brain activated. 20 years in Hollywood behind the scenes will definitely, it's not about being creative. It's about pushing the next project out of the pipeline. I wanted to work at a studio because I wanted to have that experience. You are in a sausage factory. They pushed out so many movies. I was at WB from 2010 to 2020. That was like when Harry Potter was cranking. Harry Potter is like, built modern day Warner Brothers. But they're pushing out tons of movies. I don't know, 6 a month. You could look at the slates back in that time frame. So it's a sausage factory. And I love that. I learned so much about, like, that's why there's so many credits at the end of a feature film, because it takes an army to make these things. But you lose a lot. Like, I was raising a family too. So let's just come on. It's fun being an actor. Like, I'd be a liar if I said I love being on set because I get to meet cool people. I think I've been on 1 or 2 jobs where it's like, I'm never working with these people again. You know what I mean? But it's like, I'm at a really cool location. I'm on the top of a mountain for 6 days, driving these rock hopper vehicles. That's what I love about it. I need that. Like, I need to have a break, and I have nothing but gratitude for my day jobs. Like, thank the Lord for real work too, And acting is real work. You have to show up. You got to be prepared.
Sure.
Anyway, I digress.
So before we get to your LA exit, your West Coast transition, I want to know more about your behind the scenes work in the industry in LA. I know I saw you do a tour of the Warner Brothers archives.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that, because that looks like something, if I were closer to LA, I could get into that. Just kind of all the history of so many props and pieces from sets over how many decades?
The studio started in 22. So, it used to be farmland out there. So 1922. It may have been another studio before the Warner Brothers, because there were 3 brothers. The Warner Brothers bought that current parcel. It's 10 acres. They've been making movies since like the 20s. Like, they did the Al Jolson, the jazz singer. Like, isn't that the first, like, talking picture or something? You just to work at that studio is a privilege. Like, and I used to audition there all the time as a young actor. I shot China Beach there with Stephen Baldwin, Alec Baldwin's brother. It's just like, there's so much history there. Like, I was up in New York, and I pulled this random book off my mother-in-law's shelf, and it was behind the scenes of making Casablanca. Casablanca, Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. That's a American classic, epic movie now. They shot that thing in 53 days. Everything on the WB lot. They did not even, you think like, at the airport, they went to Burbank Airport. Nope, they just painted an airport and had like a little model plane in the background that looked perfect. So all those props have been saved, like the piano, like Sam's piano from Rick's Cafe, that's in the warehouse. So I would do I worked in the logistics department at Warner Brothers Studios. So I was constantly moving the Batmobile. Clint Eastwood would do press junkets on the Today Show. So I would take like maybe costumes and ship mannequins and costumes, so he could talk about the movie and like, we're at this and blah, blah, blah. So the studios got really wise because in the old days, they would literally just burn and throw away the sets when they were done. I mean if they couldn't reuse
Takes up
them,
space.
yeah, it takes up space. What are you going to do with it? I mean, there used to be a whole Western village on the back lot of WB. Well, Western, when was the last time someone made a Western? I mean, sure, on the streaming platforms, they're popular Westerns now, but no one was making Westerns after that era. They bulldozed that whole thing down and got through it all away, and my office was built. I was in this high-story tower back there. But the studios got wise and started saving the props. And so there's a whole business. There's like a whole sub-business in the studio industry where, fans want to have these immersive experiences. And so like Friends, the 25th, I worked on the 25th anniversary of Friends. We took that couch from Central Perk Cafe and I shipped it to the top of the Empire State Building, the Burj Khalifa, and London, the Sears Tower, whatever it's called now, Willis Tower in Chicago. It's like the business has changed so much, and props are so valuable now that the studios hold on to everything. So that was what I was doing in the warehouse at Warner Brothers. I was doing an in-house video for the studio, sharing what our department heads in the archives do. So a lot of studios now have archives, and actually Netflix copied the WB model to retain their archives. So I got into that whole crazy logistics world because my time in New York City, I would work for commercial houses like you guys, but I would drive the camera truck or the grip truck or the prop truck. And so I got into I started to get good at I got to pick up these props, and then I got to get the camera package at 3, and then I got to FedEx this lens to Boston for the second unit. And I was just a musician actor in New York City trying to make a buck, but I got good at that stuff. So that's how I built my behind the scenes career as a logistics guy. And so when I moved to Hollywood the second time, with my wife and my eldest daughter, and then we had a baby out there, my youngest daughter, I started working for Panavision in logistics, shipping cameras all around the world. That's how I learned how to get around LA before the internet really was helpful. I had a Thomas guide. It was like a book this thick, and it was like a grid map system of LA. I'm like, I got to pick up this camera in Beverly Hills and then bring it over. They're shooting over in La Cañada. And I'm like, I just moved to Hollywood from New York City. And I'm like, I don't know where I am. I don't know. That was insane. That's how I got promoted at Warner Brothers. I mean, at Panavision. I got better and better at shipping crap and learning how to deal with A-listers, like production. People aren't playing games. There's a lot of money involved. You know how it is. You can't have any downtime on set.
For sure.
You're blowing a lot of money. So it's a real game, and I think I really enjoyed the game. So yeah, so that's how I would showcase a lot of what we did at Warner Brothers. I would do the in-house video, these are the props we have, and there's so many props. Oh my goodness. It's like that last scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think I even said it in that episode. It's a warehouse. It's somewhere in the valley. They don't advertise it. And it is filled with crates. You'll go back there and you'll see Casablanca, 19 whatever year that was. Well, what year? It was the 40s or something, right? Yeah. And you'll see the Maltese Falcon, all these props. And you can literally take a crowbar and go in there and you'll pull out these crazy costumes from that era. It's amazing. I love Hollywood. I really do love Hollywood. I love it and I hate it. I think as bad as COVID was for everybody, it really, I think Hollywood was kind of due for a change or a real hard slap in the face.
All right, so speaking of COVID and LA, talk me through your exit from West Coast and deciding to pick your family up and come east.
To Chattanooga. Every actor knows, you're really going to make it big in Chattanooga. That's the epicenter.
Best kept secret, right?
The best kept secret. If Samuel L. Jackson and Usher can do it,
right?
I can do it. No, COVID hit. My boss is like, put your personal effects in a banker box and go home. I'm like, what? So we all packed up. I was like in this department of logistics people for the studio, and everyone at every studio in Hollywood, we all packed up our desks. And I looked at my desk and I'm like, I'm never coming back here ever again. It's been cool. I went home, sat at my kitchen table trying to book whatever last minute jobs were happening, like whatever movie they were just trying to finish promoting. Like, okay, well, let's move the Harry Potter stuff to the Today Show because Daniel Radcliffe's going to do like a little thing. I would do that stuff from my kitchen table. But I mean, a lot of my job was physical, like physically going to the warehouse, helping a client, prep a costume or the Batmobile. We would ship cars, So yeah, that all ended. And my wife and I were sitting at our house in LA and we were like, this is not sustainable, and our kids were grown. My cousin's daughter went to this school called UTC, and she was like, oh, I go to UTC, and it's in Chattanooga, and it's a really beautiful town. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Okay. And then she would talk to us about Chattanooga. Then my youngest daughter, Gracie Lou, did a musical tour. She was in a group called the Young Americans. It was like Up With People, and they did a tour stop in Chattanooga, and she's like, Mom, Dad, I'm in this town called Chattanooga. It's beautiful. And I'm from the South, so my wife, we're like looking at each other during COVID, and she's like, you want to sell the house and move somewhere else that's not California? And I'm like, yeah. That house, before they could even put a for sale sign in the front yard, was sold. There were people, we're like, we're never going to sell a house in LA during COVID. People don't even want to come in your house. They're afraid they're going to get sick. Dude, that thing sold so fast. We're like, we got to move, man. We were throwing away bins. And, I came to Chattanooga. I was still working for the studio. They're like, we'll keep you on until the end of 2020. And that's what I did. I'd never been to Chattanooga before. So I finished out COVID working for a major motion picture studio from my little house in Chattanooga, Tennessee, going like, Lord, what is going on? What is your plan?
Right.
What is the plan?
So had your daughters only known California?
No, we were in New York City.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife is from Manhattan, and my family originally is from New York City and New Jersey. But my parents were journalists. My mom was a radio person, and my dad was a sports writer for when there was a thing called newspapers, and he got a job in Virginia. So they moved to Virginia, had me and my brother down there. So I was raised by two Yankees in the South, and which was interesting in that time. But we started out in New York City, and then we moved to Hollywood in '99, and then left Hollywood in 2020.
Wow.
Yeah. I love being here, though. Like I said, I think it's a great time to be in the industry. I think you guys are entering at such a awesome time. I mean, there's so much going on in the Southeast.
Sure.
Well,
and Skip's vision here for the team is that we are Chattanoogans serving Chattanooga.
Yeah.
There's so many good people here. You know that by now.
Oh, yeah.
So many good people that are a part of really some pretty large corporations.
Yes.
Some companies and organizations and that have national reach.
Yeah.
And so we're able to build relationships with great clients.
Yeah.
We're not doing, of course, we're going to do one-off projects. That's a given. But, But our heart is that we build deep, long-lasting relationships with good people and provide a great product through video. I mean, now with social media, we just like glance at videos and blow right by them, and forget about them, 10 seconds later. But someone, a large group of people, were behind that project. That video that you just thumbed past. There's a marketing budget there. There's a creative team. There's a production house. There's a lot of people.
There's
spend a lot. There's craft. That's right. There's crafty. There's a lot that goes into those projects. at various levels. And the project that we just wrapped with you, 3 days of shooting. We had you on set for 3 full days.
Yeah.
We had 2 other talent on set for a full day.
Multiple locations.
Yeah, multiple locations. A solid crew.
Yeah,
we love our crew.
A great crew. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we love the format we're in, the place we're in here in Chattanooga.
Yeah.
And being able to service a great cross section of people.
And it's a long game too. And I know you guys know that. It's a long game. We're not here to just I'm not here to just book a commercial and oh yeah, it's great. No, it doesn't work. It's I'm in it until I'm done. Until it's I make my final curtain call. Mm-hmm. It's all about relationships. Just that one job I did with you guys, we get to know each other, and it's exciting to learn who's in this space, in the creative space, and I mean, there's some really top shelf ad agencies here in town, and top shelf costumers and effects riggers and stagehands. I mean, I was so surprised. Chattanooga it blew me away.
It's a wonderful place.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I grew up in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And knew nothing of Chattanooga other than the Tennessee Aquarium. That was a day trip as a kid driving up from Atlanta to see the fish in this giant aquarium that at the time Georgia didn't have an equivalent, and now they do.
Yeah.
But little did I know, 20 years later, I'd long have put down roots here, and it's a wonderful place.
Yeah, and there's something magical about Chattanooga. I work at a recording studio downtown called Wavelength, and that's where I record all my music of late. And we're on the Tennessee River. Well, the Tennessee River, you can go from Chattanooga, you can go from Knoxville to New Orleans on this bad boy. That blew my mind when I first moved here. I saw this steamboat pull up to Chattanooga. I'm like, there's a steamboat in downtown Chattanooga. I'm like, where's Mark Twain? He's back, baby. This thing, man, it was a big deal for me to realize you can take this river to Bermuda. I met a guy. I was fishing with a buddy, and I was at fishing on a pier, towards a pier, casting to the pier to get me a bass, And I start talking to this guy who's cleaning his yacht. And I said, hey, man, what are you doing? Me and my buddies just started. I'm a gabber. I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm like, man, what's up, man? You got a beautiful yacht. Beautiful yacht. That's the other thing that blew me away about Chattanooga. I'm like, whoa. So my business plan was sitting in an art gallery with a fax machine and an espresso maker. That's as far as I ever got. This guy, I think, bottled Coca-Cola because he's like, I'm fitting to go to Bermuda. I'm like, what? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to take my yacht, from Chattanooga to Bermuda. I'm like, are you crazy? And he told me the whole thing. He's like, oh, no, there's a fuel depot. There's a fuel spot between the coast and Bermuda that he can pull up to and get more fuel. I'm like, you're crazy. That's why. Anyway, and then where else does the Tennessee River go? Oh, it goes to Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Well, my family's big into music. My daughter's about to cut 4 songs in Muscle Shoals. She won a Alabama music competition. She got second place, but God bless. She's awesome because I'm her daddy. But she's going to cut 4 songs in Muscle Shoals. Who cut their first hit in Muscle Shoals? Do you know?
I should, and I'll know it when you say it.
Aretha Franklin.
Yep, there you go.
Who wrote Wild Horses in Muscle Shoals? Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. Where did they track it? Muscle Shoals. Where did they track? I think Brown Sugar was they did 3. They had to record 3 quick songs. They were on tour. We go down to this place called Muscle Shoals. Leonard Skinner. I mean, so the list goes on and on from every genre, R&B to rock. And we're not even talking about Memphis, Tennessee. We're talking about Muscle Shoals, Alabama, the Swampers. Anyway, so there's something special about the river here in Chattanooga, the arts. This is the home of Bessie Smith, the Queen of the Blues, right? They call her the Queen of the Blues. And just incredible. And Usher. I like Usher. I saw Usher open for Janet Jackson in New York City. I'm like, what? It's amazing. A lot of talent here, man.
So we've kind of come in and out of conversation where your faith has come in. Talk to me about that.
Yeah.
That journey.
So that, you know, gosh, man, it's so crazy when you look back at your family life. And, you know, I think when a family falls apart, I mean, there's no, like, I can go to my phone and get a therapist. And, I mean, this is 1986, 87. I was still in high school when my parents split up. And like I said, it was my only option, the acting thing. So maybe it was like God working in my life where it's like, hey, man, I'm going to give you a little gift of creativity where you can entertain people. That's really what we do. That's really what entertainment is. I mean, we're either selling something or we're trying to make people be entertained. So I was so mad. I'm an Irish Catholic. So, you know, Irish Catholics, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I just felt like I disengaged from God when I moved to Hollywood. I was 19. I was so mad that my family broke up. And I really didn't know what I was mad at. I had to get out. So I get to Hollywood, and man, I tell you, I probably went to more like Buddhist meetings. People would get me, and you know, women would say like, "Hey, you want to come down to this Buddhist thing?" And you know, sure, I'll check it out. And you want to go to Marianne Williamson's Course in Miracles in West Hollywood? Sure, I'll go check that out. Man, do you know anything about Taoism? I'm like, well, I took a little Taoism in college. I'm like, I did go to college. I did try to stay educated. I went to LA Valley College, and I took a Taoism class. I mean, just you're inundated. I worked on Hollywood Boulevard, literally. When I was working at Panavision, we were right by the Scientology building. So I was going to lunch every day. They were trying to get me to be a Scientologist. I'm like, hey, man, that's cool for some people. But I had disengaged totally from my faith as a young actor out in Hollywood and got subjected to multiple different worldly, you know, beliefs. And then, you know, I think the perils of that being so young, and, you know, part of my story is I was a big drinker and I had a drinking problem. I didn't know it then. I was so young. And, you know, like the highs and lows of being an actor, like you're on top, you book the CBS job. Don't you see I'm working, you know, I'm trying to validate myself as an actor. Well, then I don't work for 3 months. I'm a failure. So I started drinking to kind of try to mitigate and medicate how I felt, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any faith. I couldn't go like, Lord, I'm firm in my faith, and I know that you're going to see me through. I know you're the ultimate validator. You know, I'm a child of God. I don't need validation. I just know that you love me. I didn't have that back then. So it was a tough lesson. But then 9/11 hit, and my wife was affected deeply by, well, as we all were, by what happened in 9/11, because she's a New York City girl. You know, she had friends, you know, directly affected by that tragedy. She said, and she didn't even grow up in a Christian home. She's like, I want to go to church. I'm like, oh man, that's weird. Oh gosh. So she went to like a candlelight service. I think I stayed home with the kids. And then I got sober, man. I quit drinking, thank God, because I was definitely not going to be long for this earth. So by the grace of God, I got sober, and then that opened the door for me to walk back into my faith and follow Jesus again, which has been awesome. And I joined a church in LA, and the pastor was a great playwright, and he wrote this play about the Last Supper called Remember Me. And I was young enough at the time, he cast me as Jesus. So the script is all scripture. It's from the book of, he took the red words, you know, and the red words in the Bible, Jesus is speaking, right? He took the script out of the Bible from the book of John and made it this beautiful script. And so I had to memorize a lot of, you know, in my Father's house are many rooms. I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back so that you may be with me. You know, like I was learning these lines. It was cool, like to still be creative and sober and to be new back to my faith. Anyway, I mean, I don't know. It's been critical ever since, you know? I mean, I don't want to do anything that doesn't line up with what God wants me to do, you know? Like I'm so happy. Like I said earlier, like this is the best time. And I'm an older dude, you know, but like this is like did I ever, you know, make it big in the movie business? Absolutely not. Did I ever make it big in the music business? Absolutely not. Am I happy that I have those backstories and I still do music and acting? Yeah, but this is like right now, today, like just being here with you, this is the best time I've ever had in my life. It's awesome.
I see you really satisfied because you know you got a great family with two daughters.
Two
right?
daughters, and recently our eldest had a baby, our grandson. So I'm a grandfather now.
There you go.
Come on, man.
Perspectives change, right? Like you know when you get married, perspectives change. When you start a family with kids, perspectives change.
Yeah.
And then you've got this opportunity now to pour into the next generation of kids who maybe want to pursue a career in acting.
Absolutely.
You're involved in your church as a musician. You know, I mean, yeah, what a great place in life to be in.
I think that's the big win. You know, the big win. I don't know. It's just cool, man. It's a great time to be alive. It is. It's the only time I know, and it's the only time you know is right here, right now.
Right now.
And I mean, I'm just fortunate I'm here. I've got actors I've worked with that I'm like, this guy's gonna win an Oscar. He's not alive anymore. You know, he's not with us anymore. So it's like, and I think you learn that in the rooms of recovery too. Like if you've ever had to, you know, get recovered from an addiction, it's the gratitude, man. You know, when you first start getting into recovery, it's like, hey, you're going to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. You're going to write a gratitude list. You're going to get a sponsor. You're going to sit down. You're going to shut up. And that was the hardest part for me, sitting down and shut up, because look how much I like to talk.
Well, thank you for being so open about that.
Of course.
That's
I don't care now. I cared when I first got sober. I'm like, oh,
Sure.
you'll never hire me if you knew who I really was. You'd never take a chance on me. But now it's like, you know, you start to wear things like as a loose garment. Like I just don't care anymore. Like no one cares that I don't drink. In the beginning, like the big thing, like especially when I was working at Panavision and I did some jobs on set, like on some big TV shows, I was working in the camera truck. I was a camera PA. My most important job in the camera truck, you know, keeping the gear organized, was to make sure that beer is iced down by 4 o'clock, because we're going to be doing some drinking at Wrap. Drinking is a huge part of the business. You got to, how did I even get onto that? But it's like you got to be careful, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I'm just really lucky, man. I'm lucky. You know, my wife pointed me in the right direction with God's help.
I love that. We have good women in our lives.
We do. I mean, I'm so fortunate. Like there are friends of mine that are not so lucky. Like the marriage doesn't last, the jobs go away. But yeah, like I was saying, I just don't care anymore. I think that's with age too, and with faith. Like I'm already cool. I'm cool with Jesus. I don't know, you know. If I ever work with 148 again, great. You know, they know a lot about me.
That's right.
But I mean, that's my story. That's who I am. It's like, do I act every day? No, I don't act every day. I'm going to work tomorrow, just like everybody else, man. I was like, come on.
All right, so we can't let you go without a little plug for Judge by the Cover.
Oh, yeah.
You're the co-host, opposite Josh. Talk to me about what that experience has been like.
Well, first of all, it's just so fun being a co-host. Remember The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson? Who was his sidekick?
Oh, man.
Ed McMahon, right? It was Ed McMahon. Or Conan had Andy Richter. Are they still on the air? They might still be on the air. But to be like a sidekick is so cool. Like to be an Ed McMahon and every once in a while come in, because I love music. I mean, I've made an album. I've toured a little bit. I play music every day. My whole family's into music. My whole family is like into music and the arts. So I don't know. It's just it's a huge part of who I am. What was the question again?
Tell me what it's like to be on the podcast with Josh. Like,
gosh,
what do you get to influence any of the conversations at times?
Yeah. I'll say, let's talk about this album because it's a music discovery show, and thank God you told me what the question was. See, that's why I read a lot because this is going like I've only got like 6 more months, and then they're gonna put me away somewhere. But yeah, I get to bring up some cool albums, and we talk about the graphic design because I'm totally into what Josh is into. Josh is a graphic designer. He's also a musician, and he started this show on his own. And he was kind of, you know how it goes with a podcast. It's hard. It takes effort to do these things, and I think he invited me in just as like another like a reboot, to help him kind of keep the momentum going. I think it's a great title. I think this show it has legs. This show's got legs. It can go the distance, but we really dig into the art and design of music, of albums, and contemporary albums, older albums, classics, obscure albums. We dive into record crates at local record stores, and we broadcast from a record store every once in a while. It's really cool and it lets me exercise like another aspect of being a performer because you want to research. We're probably going to do one tonight on Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh,
so I've been listening to the Thriller album today. And the good news is I'm a fan. So I've already geeked out on a lot of the Quincy Jones production notes from back in the day, like, putting that album together. And so we're going to be talking about Thriller tonight. It's just, it's fun, man.
That format sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
Because you're blending the creative art side of things and the music side into one conversation. And the fact that you guys get to actually go explore vinyl, pull music out of these local shops.
Oh gosh,
so many layers to that.
And a lot of the stories, like you and I worked together for 3 days, and we shot a really cool piece. But what's even cooler, like all the stuff that happens behind the scenes, like the whole behind the scenes capture. Did that take place in the 70s and the 80s? Sure, to a small degree, like. Maybe in the 80s, Def Leppard had like their buddy with a camcorder and captured some in-studio stuff. But now, like legit, we had a gentleman named Sam following us around, putting makeup on, having lunch. Like he pulled me in a room. He's like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute and film you? I'm like, what? But that's like the cool stuff that happens behind the scenes. Like those stories are crazy. They take on a whole other movie life. Like I really want to see what he shot behind the scenes of those 3 days.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, that kind of BTS world behind the scenes that you're talking about, I parallel to the Warner Brothers archives, in that's kind of like all they have left to show of, what happened with this finished piece that everyone can see, can watch for themselves, but there may not be any behind the scenes left other than these physical pieces from the production. I'm a huge fan of behind the scenes content. We love to capture that. It's fun to look back.
Yeah.
The person who sees the finished product was not on set, more than likely. There are only a few of us that would have been on set for these productions. And so it's fun to see what things look like behind the scenes, how we produce things. Occasionally we'll pull up BTS content and we'll be like, how did we shoot that? Or what did we use? And there it is.
And there's such a market for that. I mean, people love it. I love it. I'm constantly that's why I read the Bruce Willis biography. It's like, I want to know about Bruce Willis. And you learn these nuggets, and it's intriguing. It's a whole new form of, entertainment.
Do you enjoy music behind the scenes, like studio?
Dude,
how albums are made and the writing process and the recording process?
All of it. I'm the guy, like on Spotify, I always go to song credits. I want to know who wrote it, who produced it. I'm a kid from the 80s, man. I was buying vinyl records where they would have the liner notes this big, and I'm reading like all these people and the producers and who wrote the songs and who published the songs. And I think that's what really pushed me to write my own music and, tour with a band and to work with a co-writer who's now my wife. Gosh, music's huge, man. All that behind the scenes stuff is so important.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like we could easily record a multi-part podcast here.
Let's do it.
We'll get Josh back. We'll find a way to tag this with some kind of musical.
Do another raffle. We want more studio time here.
I love it. Well, hey, we shouldn't go without kind of plugging the whole Chattanooga effort too.
Oh, yeah.
So you and Josh and Eric are kind of the core of a podcast team in Chattanooga.
Right.
I'll let you finish that thought.
A gentleman named Michael started it, and this is when I was recording music at Wavelength, and he would start hosting Podnooga events for people who are interested in podcasting or have a current podcast. And it was a great community mixer, for lack of a better word, or network event where everyone would come together and you'd learn about like, oh, this is how 148, this is what they do, this is what they talk about, this is how you can ask the nuts and bolt questions like, how do I get it streamed? What kind of mic do I need? What do I do? I don't know anything about podcasting. So it was a great center to meet at, like once a month or whatever, however many times he did it. And you'd meet so many cool people with so many different stories, so many different genres of podcasting. Michael, I guess, had a kid, life changes. He's like, man, I can't do this Podnooga thing anymore. I'm going to shutter it. And Josh was just like, man, that's too good of a thing to shut down. So Josh had a meeting with him and said, look, can you pass the torch to me? Can I keep Podnooga alive? Can I take it over? And that's exactly what happened. And then since I was his wingman on Judged by the Cover, I was just like, dude, I'll help you do whatever. Like a lot of times I'm doing what you guys do. I'm like setting up a C-stand, or like holding a mic at an event, like, cause I love that stuff too.
Sure.
I love being a crew guy. So a lot of it was just like, he's like, hey, will you just kind of be my ride or die on this thing? I'm like, absolutely. I'll be your ride or die on this thing, man. Like, I got nothing else going on.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So we'll close with this. Where can people find and connect with you?
Oh,
social media. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
Instagram.
Okay.
It's just easy. It's philhyland.com. Or at Phil Hyland. That's it. I mean, I'm on Facebook too, but just so reluctantly. I just went on there to promote my daughter who was doing that music competition.
There you go.
And she won second place.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Instagram's cool. It used to be a lot cooler, but it's still cool, man. So yeah, hit me up on Instagram at Phil Hyland.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I love that we've finally been able to sit down on mic.
It's fun.
And I look forward to the next time we can have a conversation.
It's always fun. I love talking about the business and all the ups and downs and all the hurdles.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, my pleasure.
See ya.